Hey y'all, it's Kitty. I wear a lot of bright eyeshadow, and I get a lot of my friends and family saying, I'd love to wear bright eyeshadow, but I can never pull it off, or I don't know how to do it. And so, from an advanced beginner to a beginner, I wanted to show you guys how to do your eyeshadow. Now, I'm going to do two different looks. I'm going to do one look on each eye. And the first thing that I always have to do is find inspiration. If you're gonna do bright eyeshadow, you need inspiration. Now, I can't look at an eyeshadow palette and just build a look. Unless it's a pink neutral eye, I can do that. But I can't just look at an eyeshadow palette and be like, put that and that and that together. That's not how my brain works. Some people can do that and I envy them. For me, I need to go in search of inspiration. What I do most of the time is take a photo like this and pull the colors and turn it into an eye look like this. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do two eye looks inspired by my favorite Disney princess, Rapunzel. Now, if you know anything about the movie Tangled or Disney's version of Rapunzel, you know her colors are like a pinky purple and yellow. So I'm going to do two eye looks with those colors as much as I can. I don't have a full array of colors, and so this is something that many of you, if you're beginners, you won't have a full array of colors, but you can just take inspiration and oh, there's red in this picture, but I don't have red, so I'll use this reddish pink, or I'll just omit that color. Whatever works for you. So I am by no means an expert, and if you have a way you like to do your eyeshadow, that's fine. I'm going to give you the way that I do things and explain it as if this is the way to do things, but there are a lot of different ways to do it. So when I say your first step is this, what I mean is my first step is this. I just wanted to give that disclaimer before I get started because there are a lot of different ways to do eyeshadow, and my way is the way of what I call an advanced beginner. I have a lot to learn, but I do know quite a bit of stuff. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I start, and with that, let's get started. First step, eyeshadow primer. I cannot stress the importance of eyeshadow primer. It helps your eyeshadow stick, it helps the colors be brighter, it helps them last longer. If you're doing a colorful look, you need a good eyeshadow primer. Now, I like this one, just the Milani eyeshadow primer. I find Milani at CVS and Walmart. You can also get Milani at Ulta. The first thing you do is you just get a little tiny bit of eyeshadow primer. Now this is enough for both eyes. And I use my ring finger because it's the finger that is the best at being delicate. If you use your pointer finger, you'll tend to rub too hard. Of course, that doesn't really matter for me because I use my fingers as eyeshadow brushes all of the time. So it is what it is, but I prefer not to stress my eyelids more than I have to. So I like to use my ring finger or my middle finger just because, again, they're more gentle. I have my color switch. Now, if you're lazy like me and you don't want to clean your brushes all of the time, this is my savior because it allows me to switch between colors without thoroughly washing my brushes. Now, you still need to wash your eyeshadow brushes as well as all of your other makeup brushes, but this allows me to use fewer brushes in each of my looks as well as use my eyeshadow brushes more than once before I wash them. So I have my eyeshadow primer on. The first thing I'm going to do is take a fluffy brush. I'm using this one by Real Techniques. Wet n Wild also sells brushes like this. It's white with a pink tip. These are just a couple of dollars. And I'm going into a matte cream shade that is approximately the same color as my skin. And I'm just gonna pat that all over my eye. And what this does is it sets your eyeshadow primer and it helps blending be easier. Now the first brush I'm going to take is this e.l.f. blending eye brush. This is just a little round blending brush. $3 or less for one of these. I believe I have two of them because I love them. The next thing I'm going to do is go into this matte purple shade right here. It's called Purple by Coastal Scents. And I'm going to blend that into my crease. Now, if you look up and your eyelid creases, that's your crease. So I have hooded eyes, and depending on your eye shape, different eyeshadow styles might look better or worse. These are just the styles that I like to do. I have slightly hooded eyes. Oh wait, I'm only doing this on one eye. I just realized. So generally what I do is do each step on both eyes as I go to make sure that they're even, but I'm doing two different looks. So I'm just going to leave this one because this is the first step I'm going to do on this eye anyway, but I'm going to continue on this eye and do what I'm actually trying to do. So I'm going to take a little more of that purple. Most people will tap off the excess because it's a lot easier to go in a little at a time than to go in all at once and then try and blend out the dark color. I find with this formula, I don't really need to do that, but that is personal preference and eyeshadow formula. So as you can see, I'm starting to build up this purple color, and I'm just going to do that a little bit more, and I will see you in a minute. Okay, so I like how this is coming out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of this pink right here, because Rapunzel's colors tend to be a little bit more of a pinky purple versus just a straight up purple. My process is always very experimental, so we'll see how that turns out. And I'm not cleaning off my brush, it's the same brush that I'm using, and I'm just going to tap into that on top. So you might ask me, okay, how do I get good at doing my crease? I'll tell you, practice. The first time you take a brush and you start doing your crease, it's going to be all over the place, or you're really good to begin with. But my eyeshadow is never even. I make it even enough, but it's never exactly even. And I use my fingers a lot because I manage to get a little bit of shadow up too high. It doesn't always work to just wipe it off, but here it worked well enough. So I really like this color, this purpley pink color that we're working with here. So again, I generally don't have my eyeshadows planned out before I finish them. I'm figuring it out as I'm doing it. And now this might work for some people and it might not work for some people. But it's always fun for me to have a half-finished eyeshadow look and then go look through my eyeshadow palettes and find a color that I'm looking for. And sometimes I don't have the color I'm looking for, and so I have to make do with a different color. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to take my Violet Voss Rainbow Palette. This is my favorite palette, but its cruelty-free status is kind of iffy. They claim to be cruelty-free, but they won't answer anybody, so we don't actually know whether they're truly cruelty-free. But I fell in love with this palette so hard I had to get it anyway. And I'm going to try to work with indigo, and I'm going to do the outer half of my lid. And then I'm going to take Buttercup and do the inner corner and the front half of my lid. This is the part where your fingers get involved. So I'm going to go in with my middle finger and just pick up some of this indigo shade. And pat it and slightly rub, but mostly just pat it onto my lid. Now you're seeing this down here. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to clean that up later. That's not important. So I'm just going in and making sure I'm getting the color all the way down to the lash line, so there's not a little gap there. That tends to make there be even more down here. So this is the part where you're going to want a tissue or a face cloth or pants that you don't mind wiping eyeshadow on. Got my tissue and just wipe that off. Now again, normally I'd be working both sides at the same time, but I'm going to do a different look on this eye, so we're only doing one side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that gold shade, Buttercup, I'm going to take this gold shade, and I'm going to cover the inner corner up to where the purple is. And I'm going to use my middle finger for that as well. Sorry I'm flipping you off, guys. I'm very gently, trying to blend the gold and the purple together. So this is what we look like right now. Wiping my finger off, I'm going to take that brush that we were using before, the e.l.f. blending brush, and I'm going to go back into the pink shade and go back into my crease. There's a lot of back and forth in this process. And that just makes sure that everything is nice and smooth. Now I'm going back into the purple to re-brighten that up. When you pat a shade on with your finger, it's laying on your lid differently than when you blend it out. And so blending on top of a shadow that you patted on with your finger can dull the color. So I'm just going back in and brightening it back up. And I'm doing the same thing with the yellow gold. And blending the two together. So I'm quite happy with that look. Of course, there's all of this down here that we have to get rid of. And as you can see, as I hope you can see, because I can't really see you right now because my glasses are off, the yellow goes from the top of the lid around the inner corner and then a little bit under here. And we are going to clean that up a little bit, but most of the yellow there is going to stay there. And then I'm going to take some makeup remover and a cotton pad, just a little bit of makeup remover, and I'm going to clean that up. I kind of love this look. Now, I'm not going to attempt winged liner in this video because I don't know how to do winged liner, but in real life I would probably attempt it. So now we're going to do our lower lash line, and I'm going to be using the e.l.f. eyeliner brush, and this is just a flat brush. If you don't have a color switch, which was this thing that I showed you earlier, you can use a tissue. I just wipe it off to make sure that there's no more color from whatever I used last on there. And I'm going to go into the pink. I might go over that with the purple, but I'm going to go into the pink that we used right here and smudge that across the lower lash line. And what that means is basically lower line or lower lash line with that color. And I'm going to go right up to where I left that gold shade. Yeah, I'm looking at that and I think I need to add the purple that we used on top. Purple by Costal Scents. Now I'm not using the Violet Voss palette for this shade because those shades do work best with your fingers and they don't work super great with a brush, and they tend to have a lot of fallout if you use a brush. The next look we're going to try and do is a halo eye, and what that means is darker on the inner and outer corners and then bright in the middle. Now remember, I have some of that purple on my lid already because I was not paying attention when I started. And we're just going to start by taking that blending brush. I'm going to rub it on my color switch, and I'm going to go back into the purple, and I'm just going to go all over my crease, all the way to the inner corner. And I will probably speed that up. I'll be back when I'm done. Now I'm going to go back into the pink that we were using before and go over the purple just like I did on the other eye, but again, I'm going all the way into the inner corner. And I'm just going back and forth between the pink and the purple and trying to blend into the crease and darken that quite a bit. So now that I'm content that I have sufficiently darkened and blended out my crease, I'm going to go in with that same purple shade, the Indigo from the Violet Voss palette, and I'm going to go in with my pointer finger. Now you have to be very gentle with your pointer finger because your pointer finger is good at being strong and calloused a lot more than your ring finger or your middle finger. So you need to be gentle. And I'm going to go into my inner corner and darken that up. And I'm going to go a little less than halfway across the lid. And I see all of this. We'll deal with that later. Going to get a little bit more. I'm going to go on the outer corner as well. And now these shadows are going to just about meet. They don't need to meet, but if they meet, it's okay. Wipe off my finger. And guys, I know this looks crazy, but we're going to clean it up and it's going to come together, I promise. And now you're going to highlight the middle of the lid. So I'm going to go in with my middle finger. I'm going to pick up some of the gold that we've been using. And I'm just going to wipe that down the middle. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to get more gold. And I'm going to pat/wipe it on. And I'm going to go in more. And I'm not quite liking the vibrancy that that's having. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this e.l.f. I think it's called a C blending brush, like the letter C. It's a short little packer kind of brush. So I'm going to take some setting spray. Now, I have setting spray specifically for this that I've heard people say works really well, but you can use whatever setting spray. A lot of people just use water. Water works too. I prefer setting spray. And I'm going to spray my brush. And I'm just doing that under the table so it's not spraying all over all of my eyeshadow. And so now my brush is wet. I'm going to dip into that shadow and I'm kind of pushing it forward to loosen the product, and then I'm picking it up. There we go. That's what I want. As you can see, I hope you can tell the difference, because I can tell the difference when I looked in the mirror, that it's a lot more vibrant. I'm going to take my blending brush that I was using before. I have not cleaned it off. And I'm just going to blend across the top because I prefer a little more of a blended halo eye. Then I'm going to go back in with my middle finger into the purple shade, darken the inner and outer corner, go back in with the yellow with my finger, and just blend those a little bit. Now I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see what you can see. And as you can see, I still look crazy. So I'm going to see if I can reuse the same cotton pad. I'm just flipping it to the other side. And we cleaned it up. And that looks so much better. I look a lot less crazy, although I do look quite weird with two totally different eyeshadow looks. I'm going to do a very similar thing to what I did on the other lower lash line, but there's going to be a difference. And so what we're going to do is we're going to copy the top of the lid on the lower lash line. So we're going to have the purple on the inner corner and the outer corner and the yellow in the middle. Now I'm going to go in with the purple first this time to see what that looks like, just because I'm curious. The purple we put in the crease, not the purple, not the vibrant purple. And the outer corner. And then I'm going to cover that up with the pink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brush that we wet before, because I don't want to wet my liner brush, just because I find once I've wet a brush and used a shadow on it, I really feel the need to wash it again, to wash it before I use it again on any other shadow. That's just a personal thing of mine. I really don't want to have to wash that brush right now. So now I'm going to spray the other side of this brush. I'm going to go into the yellow shade again. We're going to do the same lining sort of style. Ta-da! These are my two looks. Now, I would wear either of these looks out. If you try to do your makeup colorful and you go, no, I look crazy. I look crazy. Do your makeup colorful when you're not going out, and just experience walking past a mirror and seeing purple on your eyes, walking past a window and seeing a reflection of a color that you don't recognize, because it's not that you can't wear color, it's that you're not comfortable wearing color. And so you have to get comfortable, or you have to accept that you're probably going to think you look crazy until you feel comfortable in color. Now, I'm comfortable to go out like this. Most people wouldn't be. I wouldn't, go out to a fancy restaurant with two totally different eyes. Some people might, but like, I'm probably going to run to Target with two different eyes. But I would wear either of these looks again, and I'm actually really happy with how they came out. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments down below, or shoot me a direct message because most of you know me in person. And I would love it if you could like the video, if you would subscribe, share it with your friends, leave me questions, comments. Please be nice. And I don't have a catchy sign off, but I will see you guys later.